What's up, everybody? Mark here from Off-World Empire. Sam's still not here. He's still in Hawaii doing his mission stuff for High Seas 5. Content coming soon with that. Keep your eyes peeled. But this week, and I'm sure everyone's already heard the news here, but SpaceX announced that they are going to, that they've been contracted by 2 unnamed private customers to fly them around the moon and return them to Earth. Nothing like this has happened in my lifetime. This is one of the most significant, it will be one of the most significant sort of human spaceflight things that's happened since the 70s. I mean, nobody's been further than low Earth orbit since the last Apollo missions. So this is going to be absolutely massive if they pull it off. So the idea is to launch on a Falcon Heavy, which is obviously SpaceX's heavy lift launch vehicle. 3 Falcon 9 boosters sort of strapped together can lift a much larger payload than the Falcon 9 rocket, and they'll be flying around the moon, hopefully, in the Crew Dragon capsule. So the Crew Dragon is just an updated crew-rated version of the Dragon spacecraft they currently fly into orbit. Neither of these pieces of hardware are actually currently in use by SpaceX. They both have to be, essentially their development has to be finished and they have to be flight proven before this launch date of end of 2018. So that seems like, that's a pretty close launch date, to be fair. But this is like SpaceX. They give themselves these short windows. They almost always fail to meet them. But that's just part of it. Like, you just have to factor in, it's Elon Musk time. He makes an announcement. You probably have to push that back by a few months. But even so, it's still super exciting. This year we should be seeing both of those pieces of new hardware in action. So we got the Falcon Heavy launch, which has always been like 6 months out, basically since like 2013 or whenever it was first meant to have launched. It's always been, okay, actually no, maybe we'll do it in 6 months time. Maybe we'll do it in 6 months time. But to be fair, they've had other stuff to focus on with reusability, other more immediate things, that's going to generate revenue. So they've been testing their reusability. They've been getting their commercial crew stuff up and running, which is a NASA contract to fly astronauts to the space station, which also should be up and running by next year. Falcon Heavy launch should happen this year if we're lucky. It's actually less than 6 months away now, and there's actually hardware being viewed out there. So Falcon 9, a Falcon Heavy side booster, which is essentially just a Falcon 9 rocket with a little nose cone on the front, that's been spotted wrapped up in its sort of black cellophane wrapper on the highways somewhere in the US between Hawthorne, McGregor, Cape Canaveral, somewhere, Kennedy Space Center, somewhere in that route, somewhere people have been spotting these things around. So we have Falcon Heavy hardware on the road. The Dragon, obviously the Crew Dragon, we've seen a few tests. We've seen the hover test, we've seen the launch abort system test, all looking pretty cool. And this year we should be getting our first unmanned flight to the space station with the Crew Dragon, which is going to be sweet. So by the end of this year, we should have both of these pieces of hardware up and running. NASA's commercial crew program should be up and running as of 2018. And by the time that this lunar mission launches, the plan is to have launched, I think, 2 NASA crew flights to the ISS. So if all goes to plan and this lunar mission does get pulled off by the end of next year, we'll be looking at flight-proven hardware, and that's what's going to take these people around the moon. So this is a particularly interesting announcement. You can read this in a number of ways. Obviously, it's super exciting we haven't seen anything like this in a very long time, and I'll get into all that in just a minute. But it can be read in other ways as well. So NASA announced pretty recently, within the last month or so, I think, that they are considering crewing their first Orion flight. So Orion is NASA's sort of deep space manned spacecraft that's been developing for a while. Is designed to launch on the Space Launch System, which is a massively expensive rocket with, it's questionable that whether they should even be investing in that before. We've talked about that on videos in the past. And one of Orion's actual first mission, rather than just a test, was going to be a flight around the moon. And now NASA have been announcing in the last couple of months that they're thinking about crewing it, putting astronauts in that. And now SpaceX just suddenly pop up and say, oh, by the way, we're just going to do the same thing with some private paying customers. And you can guarantee that SpaceX cost for it will be a lot cheaper than the Falcon Heavy. So sorry, than the SLS, the Space Launch System. So is that timing a coincidence, or are SpaceX trying to say to NASA, hey guys, just stop wasting all that money. We can do this. Just pay us to do it, okay? And spend your money on something else. So you can read it like that. And NASA actually released a statement, just after the SpaceX announcement, saying, or commending them, saying like, this is great, our commercial partners reaching high and all this stuff. We applaud that, but we want to work with them closely to make sure they stick to their contractual obligations. SpaceX are meant to be developing commercial crew capabilities. That's what NASA have paid them a shit ton of money to do. But of course, at the same time, having these private customers paying for a Crew Dragon launch is just more money into the development of the Crew Dragon that's not NASA money. So you could view it that way. And honestly, like, time will tell. And if companies like SpaceX are doing this kind of stuff, demonstrating that they have the capabilities to do, returns from the moon at lunar velocities, landing on the Earth safely, all this kind of stuff that NASA, that were the domain of the Orion spacecraft. If they can just do all of that and just demonstrate it straight up at the end of next year, there's going to be a big push in the future to just move away from NASA developing their own launch systems and everything, which is probably a good thing. NASA are awesome at doing science. They've been really, really good and pioneered launch vehicles as well, obviously. But we're now moving to a new phase where the private sector are really pushing the boundaries. This is a splashy announcement, and I think the actual mission itself will probably make waves if it happens. Let's just assume that it's going to happen, and that the end of next year, we're going to see 2 private paying customers fly around the moon and back. Just trying to imagine what that's going to be like, just as a spectator. I mean, I obviously the Apollo program, I wasn't born when that happened. I don't have a context for that. I can't really imagine what it's like to experience as a spectator that kind of stuff happening. But we could be seeing it next year, and I think there's something to be said for the fact that these are going to be 2 just private citizens. They're not astronauts. They're not. So I think that's going to help maybe like the general public and stuff relate to them a bit better. And there's a kind of just generally increasing interest in space now. It's like the kind of, it's been bubbling away in the background, but whenever there's a milestone reached, you see news stories pop up on the main news media now. Like it's in the public consciousness more than it was, say, like 20 years ago. And these people who come back from this mission, they're going to be superstars, because this is a barrier that hasn't been broken since the 70s. And there's a whole generation, 2 generations of people who haven't experienced that. So I think these people, they'll be the first of many people, hopefully, in the next few decades to be going out of low Earth orbit. But they'll probably be remembered because, well, 2 things, because of that I've just said, but also because they're the first real space tourists. I mean, you've had people going to the ISS before, I realize that, but this is a totally different sort of ball game. So I think they will be remembered. So who are these people? I mean, obviously they're going to be pretty rich, because they'll have paid for a Falcon Heavy launch and all of the associated costs for the Dragon and everything. I mean, I think Elon Musk said in his announcement that they've put some kind of down payment down already. Don't know what that is, obviously, but so these people. But I think the Falcon Heavy launch cost is estimated at around $90 million US. So let's just say that let's just double it. I mean, I have no idea what the costs are for the rest of the stuff involved in launching one of these things. I think again, Elon Musk in his press conference for this said that the cost of the lunar mission won't be significantly higher than just a crewed mission to the ISS. So let's just say it's $200 million. Just go crazy. That's how much it might cost these people. There's plenty of people in the world that $200 million isn't actually going to break the bank. I mean, if you're a billionaire, you look at them and you think, hang on, this is just a commercial company, like any commercial company. They have a product. that product is rocket launches. I'm just going to buy a rocket launch. Why not? And maybe this is going to be something that we see more and more people do. And maybe people will just start realizing that this is something that they can do. If you get to that point, you have that level of cash. Like, why not? I think I would. I mean, I would potentially wait for this to become more routine. I mean, I don't have a death wish, but if I was a billionaire and people were often or semi-regularly doing these kind of missions successfully, I mean, you would. I would. Imagine just watching that moon just coasting by, like, out the window, just 100 miles beneath you or something. Just this kind of surreal lunar landscape, and when you're around the far side and you're just looking out at the expanse of the universe, blocked off from all communications with the Earth, you can't even see the Earth. Just to think about what that would be like, and think about the fact that at the end of next year we might be seeing people do this. So who is it? Well, there was some sort of rumors going around that it might be James Cameron, because he did that deep sea thing and made a documentary about it a couple of years back, and obviously he's into adventuring and everything. But again, Elon Musk was quoted as saying on the BBC, I think he was quoted as saying that it's no one from Hollywood. So that's off the cards. Be interesting to see who it is. It might not be anyone that we've really heard of. But I think whoever it is, as I said earlier, they're going to be remembered probably for this. There's been people talking about doing this kind of stuff for a while. I mean, the Dennis Tito's Inspiration Mars project was meant to send a couple, I think a married couple was the idea, around Mars. I mean, that's much, much more involved sort of mission. But, and you got Virgin Galactic and obviously Blue Origin are kind of basing the beginnings of their spaceflight on tourism. That they want to get into the market via tourism first before sort of branching out into commercial launches. So that's what their new Shepard space launch vehicle will be doing, suborbital launch vehicle. So obviously space tourism is going to be a reality very, very soon, that's affordable for many more people than it has been up until now. Obviously this kind of thing is only going to be affordable to the billionaires for quite some time, I imagine. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. I think this might be a catalyst. This might just be like the what's needed to make other people start realizing that they can do this, and that we might see more and more of these get announced in the future. I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see how it pans out. It's super, super cool. I just couldn't believe. I did not see it coming. I know a lot of people didn't see it coming. There was all this chatter about it maybe being a spacesuit announcement that SpaceX were going to make, which would have been cool, and no doubt we'll see them soon. The spacesuits for their Crew Dragon, the commercial crew launches. But this was just out of the blue. So it makes you wonder what else they've got bubbling away behind the scenes. Like, what else are we going to find out about? I don't know, but I look forward to hearing about whatever it might be. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on this. If you have anything to add, or you want to tell me I'm wrong about stuff, that's cool. Stick them in the comments, and I'll try and reply to any comments in a future video. Keep your eyes peeled, because we've got content from High Seas 5, from the Mars analog mission that Sam is a part of. So watch out for that. As always, make sure you subscribe if you're not, for more like stuff like this, and like, share, etc. And yeah, catch you next time. Cheers.